Cheers, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the pod. If you're listening, you can't see me cheersing with my fun mocktail, but if you're on YouTube, you can. Guys, look how cute this glass is. I know the blur of my screen is kind of hiding it, but it is the cutest little smiley face glass. I got it for my iced decaf coffee, which I know people are like, why the decaf? What's the point? Look, I really have, I've gotten on a train of decaf at home. So I only have caffeinated coffee if I'm out, which I will say is like 2 or 3 times a week. I typically work at a coffee shop like once or twice a week, and then I'll go on the weekend. So I'm still definitely having caffeine, but switched to decaf at home and then also switched to ice. And this glass has been so cute. But anyway, I figured I just wanted to bust out a mocktail for today's episode. I thought it would make it a little bit fun, and I thought it would be good to have this while I was recording because I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but my problem with drinks is that if they have flavor, I will chug them. So if I wasn't talking to you guys, I would like finish this in 5 seconds because I just would be sipping on it. So the fact that I have to talk will make it good, but let me take a sip now. Okay. Welcome to the pod. That was quite a rambly intro for literally no reason, but glad to have you guys here. We have a fun Fast Fit Facts episode for you. So if you're new here, FFF, Fast Fit Facts. Yeah, is that what I said the first time? Fast Fit Facts. We take a topic, something in health and fitness, something that's typically usually misunderstood or has a lot of like diet culture crap around it. And I break it down. I break it down quickly, quickly with an asterisk. I talk, honestly, I always mean to make it quick, but I talk for a long time. But quickly, easy, efficient, just the basics, the things you need to know with no bullshit. Okay. Because I am sick of all the diet culture bullshit that's out there. So we're going to just give it to you straight. And today's episode is all about creatine. Creatine, a fantastic supplement, but it has gotten just such a bad rap. I think this is because maybe like a decade or so ago, like it just got lumped in with the idea of being a steroid, which it is absolutely not. You will understand that by the end of this episode, but it just began to get a bad rap, especially for women. There's a lot of myths around it. So we're going to bust a lot of those today because creatine is probably the only supplement that I would really recommend that everyone take, and I would back, and I would say it's worth your money, and I would recommend it to every client because I am really like, I like to say I'm no BS when it comes to supplements. Like I want you to get the majority of what we can first from whole foods, lifestyle changes, habits, exercise, etc. There's always going to be places where certain people need to supplement. It can be helpful to supplement, but I always want to like look at those other things first. However, creatine is the one thing that for everyone, I'd be like, yeah, you should absolutely buy it. You should absolutely get on it. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, if you're weightlifting, if not, like we'll again dive into that, but I want everyone to take it. So I think this is a really good episode to break down why for you to understand that more. So without further ado, we're going to dive in. And I will say for this one, I do have a lot of notes. Usually I do not. I'm usually off the cuff for these episodes, but there's just so much to this. I don't want to miss it because I don't know why, but like I get passionate about creatine. Like I get passionate, man. I want you to freaking love it. I want you to understand it. I don't want you to have a misconception of it. So I think first and foremost, we need to dive into what is creatine and how does it work? Like, how does it work physiologically? And if any clients are listening to this, I know you guys can attest to the fact that EA, we're so education based. And the reason being, and that's not going to be any different on the podcast or any different on my Instagram or just any different with any type of the content like I give out. I'm not trying to hide anything from you, right? I want you to understand it all for yourself because we wholeheartedly believe that if you understand it and you actually have the knowledge and education, you're going to be a lot more likely to, of course, believe it, buy into it, and probably implement it for yourself. And that goes for understanding supplements and creatine. That goes for understanding maybe like workouts and why you're doing what you're doing in that regard. That goes for understanding nutrition. Like I can't stand coaches, trainers, whatever, that just give their clients a meal plan, a workout plan, and they're just like, here, do this. And they don't explain why. Because like, first of all, the client's not going to be as likely to even hold themselves accountable to this new thing if they don't understand why. It's a lot easier to just be like, why am I even doing this? Screw it. And also too, like, I want you to understand it for yourself for the long run. So no different here. I want you to literally understand how the heck creatine works in the body. So creatine it's something that your body produces naturally. I guess a nutrient, you could say. Your body does produce it naturally. And it is used to help create adenosine triphosphate, aka ATP, which you may remember that acronym back from like biology class a long time ago. ATP is really the like energy currency of the body. If we want to do anything explosive, high intensity, ATP is what generates that. It is the power needed during any high intensity activities like sprinting, weightlifting, etc. Also, just like your brain and thinking, like it's that takes a ton of power. Like that is all ATP. Okay. Now let me go a step further, okay, in understanding this. Why are we talking about ATP? So again, ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate, tri meaning three, so that basically means three phosphates. Now, when you do use this ATP for something like weightlifting, sprinting, anything, anything intense, you're losing a phosphate and it changes to ADP because you just used that phosphate. Now it's adenosine diphosphate, di meaning two, right? So it takes time for this now ADP to get another third phosphate molecule, turn back into ATP, and then you be used for power again. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because creatine carries a phosphate molecule, it's creatine phosphate. And if you have more creatine stores in your body, you can take that phosphate from creatine, add it to that ADP, and now you have ATP again because you have taken that third phosphate from creatine. Now you're replenished quicker. You're able to do that activity again for harder, longer, more, whatever. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is that you can regenerate energy quicker if you have more creatine storage in your body. So that's kind of what creatine is and how it works on a physiological level. So that you can kind of already see why we might want to supplement with it, but I did mention that your body produces it naturally, right? And this is true. But again, if we could have more storage of it and be more successful in performance, in being able to be more, explosive, whatever, that's going to lead to, better body comp, better performance, etc. Right? So this is why you would want to supplement, even though you produce it naturally, because the more storage you have, the more you're going to be able to do, the faster you're going to be able to recover. And the more like the more creatine you have, again, the faster you can regenerate ATP. That's going to mean the more reps you can do, sets you can do, more intensity, and that all equates to better gains, right? Because if we're just talking about it from like a body compositions perspective, right? Because obviously, and I could talk about this from any perspective. I could talk about this from performance of the athletes, for sprinting, etc. But I know a lot of you guys listening are here because I'm a body composition coach. I help women build lean muscle and lose body fat and help recomp their body. So if we're just looking at it from that perspective, in order to do all of that, we need to be building lean muscle. That's going to help speed up our metabolism. That's going to help give us which makes it easier to lose body fat. That's going to also help give us the definition. You guys know all of this. I've talked about this in other episodes. Well, the way that we build lean muscle is by progressively overloading, by sending a signal to our body that we need to get stronger, that we need to build. And that comes from being able to push harder, longer, more intense. And so if we can get this supplement that allows us to do that extra rep, right? Do that extra set, to recover quicker, to train with more intensity, it only means that we're going to end up with a better outcome from that body composition standpoint, right? And I alluded to this already, but ATP is not just the energy source for weightlifting and hitting PRs and getting strong. It's also the energy source for mitochondria, for your brain. Your brain uses so much of it that your brain is one of the most energy sucking kind of things that we have. So it's also really, really great for cognitive benefits. I've mentioned the word recovery a lot of times, but I don't just mean recovery in between sets to be able to go harder within a few minutes. I also mean recovery outside of the gym on rest days, being able to go back and train with more intensity even the next day, right? So those are some reasons why you would want to supplement with it. Okay. Now, when it comes to who should use creatine, it's probably very obvious that athletes are going to be up there. I've talked already about performance, and I've talked about recovery. Obviously, people who want to, work on their body composition, lose weight, build lean muscle, that's an obvious one. But I also want to point out that there's so many other benefits, including cognitive, which I just really talked about, that I would really recommend that everyone be supplemented with creatine. Men, women, young, old. And when I say old, I mean even elderly. I truly believe that give it 5 to 10 years, and I think creatine is going to be a supplement within retirement communities. I think that it's something that is going to be part of multivitamins. I even think it could be part of, baby food down the road because again, it has so many benefits. But on the cognitive side of things, especially for our elderly population, it's been shown to slow down cognitive decline because of how quickly like and how much it regenerates that brain power and that brain energy. I think that there's a lot of developmental benefits for even young people as they continue to grow and develop over time. It's really honestly an overall health supplement. Like, and I think it should be the number one like overall health supplement. And I really believe like give it a few years, it's going to probably be part of protein powders. It's probably going to be part of multivitamins. It's going to be like kind of built into a lot of these things and just be something that's like a pretty typical supplement. And one other population that I really want to note that it's very crucial, and I'm gonna use the word crucial, meaning like I would tell any of our vegan and vegetarian clients to absolutely be on it. But yeah, that's the population it's gonna be crucial for is vegans and vegetarians. And the reason being is that creatine is found in muscle cells. And if you're eating animal products, you are going to be getting some from your food. Now, before I go any further, I will say if you are not vegan or vegetarian, I would still recommend supplementing with creatine because even if you are eating meat, you do have to eat a lot of meat to get the amount that you could get from supplementation. So, to get the amount that you would typically get from the 3 to 5 grams that you would supplement with, you would need to eat like 2 to 3 pounds of beef, which is a good bit, especially for, a 150-pound woman, let's just say. It's expensive. It does come with a lot of extra fat if you're doing it just from like beef, right? So it's still easier to supplement. I would still recommend supplementing because you're probably not getting that much meat. But if you're eating meat, you are getting some. And so vegans and vegetarians are really getting none outside of just the natural stores that their bodies make. So this is a population that you'll probably notice if you begin supplementing with it. You're going to notice definitely the energy effects, the output probably in your exercise, the cognitive clarity, probably a lot less brain fog. So if you're listening to this and you are vegetarian and vegan and not currently supplementing with this, I would be really interested for you to throw it into your mix. Don't change anything else, and just see what kind of happens and how much better you likely feel. Creatine, even though I mentioned that it is found in the muscle cells of animal products, when you take it as a just straight supplement, it is vegan. So you're not breaking kind of any of your beliefs if you're coming at it from that standpoint, if you are supplementing with it in the powder form. So I would really, really recommend that. But point blank at the end of the day, who should use it? Freaking everybody. Your mom, your grandma, your dad, your kid, your son, your whatever, everyone. Get them on it. So to kind of recap of the pros of taking creatine, again, you're going to have a lot better cognitive health. It slows cognitive decline for older populations. It is so good for your brain and for your mitochondria and just for other parts of your even body outside of just like muscle growth and strength. But it definitely is great for that too. That's another pro. It's going to be more strength, more power, more endurance, more explosiveness. It's great for any high intensity exercise or activity that's just gonna require any like big outputs of energy. So whether that be sprinting, running, weightlifting, etc., you name it, it's going to be helpful. It's also going to be really great for recovery and allowing you to recover from those things, both within like small amounts of time to go for the next one, and both within your actual like rest and downtime. And then lastly, another one is it's just better for body composition. It's going to help improve your ability to build lean muscle. It's going to help improve your ability to lose body fat, and kind of, recomp your body in that regard. Now, to kind of get into a few like questions I frequently get about like what kind should I be taking, how much should I be taking, when should I be taking it? We'll dive in. So the kind I would really recommend taking is creatine monohydrate. There are some other types out there, other forms out there, but they're just not as good bang for your buck, I would say, but not even like bang for your buck because they may actually, what I mean by is they may be cheaper, but you're not getting as much quality of it in the same dosage. So you're better off getting creatine monohydrate, which still is really like inexpensive compared to other supplements. Like this is not an expensive supplement. It's a very affordable supplement, which is another reason everyone should be taking it. But creatine monohydrate, that's the form that's going to be the easiest to digest, the easiest for your body to utilize. Again, it's the most cost effective. It's the most tested and researched. So I would just steer clear of anything else that's not monohydrate. As far as how much you should take, this can vary person to person depending on your size. But for most people, especially if I have mostly women listening to this, we're just looking for anywhere between 3 to 5 grams per day, which is going to be the size of that little scoop that comes in any of the creatine that you do get. You'll be fine taking anywhere in that range. And if you even overdid it, because this is a common concern, is like overdosing. I'm using air quotes if you're listening on the pod. You can't overdose on creatine. It's not a steroid. You're going to be fine. You pee out and excrete any extra. So don't stress about that. But 3 to 5 grams is going to be a pretty good place to be. Something that you might find if you're doing research is hearing about what we call a loading phase, which essentially means taking a lot more of that for a short period of time, usually like 5 to 7 days, to kind of build your storages up. Because I will say, how creatine works is you have to build this creatine storage within your muscles. You're not going to notice a difference right away, like day one. It's going to take some time to kind of build these storages up. So the thought with a loading phase is that you can kind of like expedite that process by taking like 10 to 20 grams a day for like 5 to 7 days. Do you need to do this? No. It's a good way to kind of like go through it faster and probably have to buy more faster. And there's been some research that shows it maybe works a little bit faster, but it's pretty minuscule. And I would say especially because there's just again, for no really good reason, as we're learning here, but because there is so much sometimes trepidation around this supplement, especially for my women listening, I'd rather you just stick to the 3 to 5 grams and like feel pretty good about easing into it. So, do you need a loading phase? No. Can you do a loading phase? Sure. What is it? It's taking about 10 to 20 grams a day for 5 to 7 days and then going down to what we would call a maintenance amount, which is that 3 to 5 grams. But for sake of ease, just probably stick to that 3 to 5 grams a day. Um, Now, as far as when to take it, I get this a lot too, because there's kind of a thought of like, oh, if it's making me stronger, faster, better, I probably should take it pre my workout. Well, I just talked about how it really just works off of saturation. It works out off of that storage buildup. So it doesn't matter when you take it, because it's not like you're not going to get the effect of what you took like 30 minutes prior, if that makes sense. Like it's about the fact that these storages are building up over time. So it doesn't matter if you take it morning, night, pre, post workout, none of that matters. All that matters is that you take it consistently, that you take it daily. Okay. So no benefit to before, after. It's going to be all the same as long as you're taking it every single day. So my recommendation would be take it when you're going to remember to take it. So for me, I actually always put it in my coffee or I put it in like my morning drink because that way that's like part of my routine. I'm always doing it. I won't forget it. And that's better than like trying to get it in pre-post workout or whatever you like think makes most sense. It's negligible. Studies have shown that's completely negligible. The most important thing is to do it consistently. Now you do not need to like cycle on and off of this. That's something people have been like, you should take a break. You should like only do it for a period of time and then stop. I think that came from like the past belief of it being some sort of steroid. It's not. So no, you do not need to cycle on and off of this. Once you start taking it, this is something I'd like to see you take just continuously forever. If you go through periods of time where you forget, you go on vacation, you don't bring it with you, you forget one day, that's fine. Just get back on it and be consistent with it. It's one of those things that works more off of consistency rather than like a one-time dose. So I think that kind of covers really everything that I wanted to talk about regarding creatine. I guess that like just a couple of myths that I commonly hear to just make sure we debunked them, which I hope this whole pod did. But something that a lot of women I think fear is they fear that it causes weight gain. And so, yeah, this is actually one I do want to talk about for a second. So it does not cause fat gain. Okay. It may cause the scale to go up a pound or two. I will admit that. But let me explain what you're seeing if that happens. Creatine retains water. And before again you freak out with that, again, let me explain what that means. So it's retaining water intracellularly, okay, which means that it's pulling water into the muscles because it needs water to be with it. So it pulls water into the muscles with you. This is an important distinction that it's intracellularly versus extracellularly. I cannot say that word, because the extracellular water retention, that is where people tend to look a little bit more puffy, where they don't like the look. Intracellularly, it's pulling it into your muscles and filling up your muscle bellies, which is actually going to make you look leaner. Because if this muscle is bigger, now that your skin is having to stretch more around the muscle and be tighter, right? This is what creates that like tight, tone, lean, is when you have bigger muscles muscles and it like tightens the skin, right? So this is actually a really good thing and people tend to look better, but you may see the scale go up a pound or two because it's that water kind of sticking with you and that retention. Okay, it is not fat gain. You are not gaining any fat if you're taking creatine. So if you do see the scale go up when you take this, understand that this is nothing more than water, and it's water that's making you look good. It's being held in the right places. So focus a lot more on how you're feeling, on, your strength, on progress pictures if you're taking those, if you do begin taking this supplement, rather than the scale. And if you do see the scale jump and you have started taking creatine, realize that that's probably the reason why, and it's not your nutrition, it's not anything like that. Okay. So that's a big one. I've mentioned this a couple times, but another myth, it is not a steroid. It is a natural, it is a natural like nutrient that is created in your body. We're just adding extra to help us be a little bit better in a lot of these areas. Okay. It is not a steroid. That's point blank on that. I'll leave that one there. And then another thing that's not really a myth because it's not a myth, but does it upset your stomach? Some people have reported like gastrointestinal issues when they take this. This definitely can happen. It is pretty rare, but it's definitely possible. So one thing I would recommend if this is you, if you've noticed it bothering your stomach when you take it, is first and foremost, just trying to not take it on an empty stomach. Try taking it with food, after your food, with your food, something like that, middle of the day, end of the day, rather than maybe first thing in the morning, because it could just be as easy as that. You could maybe try other like forms. So I'd still stick with monohydrate, but if you were taking it in like a powder, maybe they do have it in like capsules. You can try it in a capsule or vice versa and see if that helps. And then ultimately, if it doesn't, you just may unfortunately be somebody who does have a little bit of a like intolerance to it. You can try a smaller dose, but ultimately, like you might decide that the gastrointestinal upsetness is not worth the potential benefits of taking it, and you just may be somebody that like doesn't take it. But outside of that, again, this is a supplement that I would recommend for absolutely everybody. So if you're not on it, highly recommend. Oh, I guess the last thing I should add is because with supplements, quality matters, really matters. Okay. But with creatine, if you're getting it from just kind of a reputable brand overall, and it's creatine monohydrate, you should be okay. It's one of those ones where you don't really need to like buy the most expensive one to make sure you're getting good quality. So I just honestly get mine on Amazon. I think bulk supplements has been where I've gotten mine from in the past. Bodybuilding.com is a good one too. So yeah, that's really everything. But if there's anything I didn't cover and you're curious about creatine, shoot me a DM. My Instagram is in the description below. And I'm happy to answer it. As you can tell, I'm kind of a nerd with this. I love it. Get on creatine, okay? Let's all get freaking buff, strong, lean, jacked girls. We got this, okay? All right, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next episode.